6. Polytheistic salvation. Because of the prevalent myth of evolution, modern man regards polytheism and idolatry as the characteristics of more, quote, primitive, end quote, cultures, when, in reality, they are the products of cultural decay and degeneration. Polytheism represents a loss of faith, a loss of all sense of unity in the cosmos, and it is a product of cultural relativism and even collapse. We can understand polytheism clearly by looking at a modern polytheist, Clark Kerr, an economist, university professor, and one-time president of the University of California. For Kerr, the university has given way to the multiversity. Since, for Kerr, God is not even a consideration, the unity of creation and of meaning is gone. The world is a multiverse, an area of conflicting random things, so that the idea of a universe and a university is simply a relic of the idea of God. Not surprisingly, in this meaningless multiversity, in a meaningless multiverse, by the mid-1970s, the University of California at Berkeley was offering a course in comic books. In a multiverse, meaning is dead, and unity is non-existent. Polytheism gives us the chaotic world of many potencies. In a polytheistic universe, or multiverse, there is no overarching truth, justice, or right, only a continual clash of powers. These powers, having no truth, are pure arbitrariness, and hence tyranny. When we examine classic or Greek polytheism, we find that it was, according to Herodotus, a new thing in Greek thought, given its first formal appearance in Hesiod and Homer, who gave expression to the new faith. Whence each of the gods sprung, whether they existed always, and of what form they were, was, so to speak, unknown until yesterday. For I am of the opinion that Hesiod and Homer lived 400 years before my time, and not more. And these were they who framed a theogony for the Greeks, and gave names to the gods, and assigned to them honours and arts, and declared their several forms. But the poets, said to have been before them, in my opinion, were after them. The first part of the above statement is derived from the Dodainean priestesses, but the later, that relates to Hesiod and Homer, I say on my own authority. How radical was the breakdown of unity and coherence in the world of Homer is apparent in the fact that, even for the gods, power is dependent on presence and cannot be deployed from a distance. Since truth and meaning are gone, and only power remains, the only, quote, truth, end quote, recognized by men and gods alike, and the only right, is power, and the claims of power. Thus, Odysseus has some rights, but a slave girl or a commoner has none. Furthermore, it is basic to Greek religion that gods as powerful as Zeus and Athena are interested only in powerful men. In any true sense, there can be no salvation in polytheism, only a limited rescue, because there can be no control by any being over a multiverse of potentialities, powers, and beings, as well as over the totality of time and space. Such a salvation is at best temporary. Aphrodite could briefly rescue Paris from battle with Menelaus and plop him into Helen's lap, but she could not free him from the consequences of his sin and his eventual death and judgment. It becomes soon apparent that polytheistic salvation is escapism. Only the God who absolutely controls all creation, and apart from whom nothing can take place, can give effectual salvation, because only He ordains the beginning and the ending of all things. Thus, salvation is a biblical doctrine. All other religions offer only escapism. They sidestep the problem of sin, and, as a result, substitute for salvation some supposedly blissful alternative which is merely more sin and escapism. In the name of biblical faith, however, all too many theologians offer a polytheistic doctrine and its alternative of escape. An example of such polytheism is Leonard Verdun. Verdun held that the state is not subject to redemption. The state is purely temporal and strictly secular. Secular in the etymological sense of the word, of this age. Secular, for the here and now. This implies that there cannot be such a thing as a Christian state. By this logic, Verdun should have condemned marriage as secular and hence not Christian, and counseled Christians to seek a higher way by abstention from sex and marriage. Verdun, an ordained Christian Reformed pastor, held that in the New Jerusalem there will be no king, despite the very plain statement of Revelation chapter 22, verse 3. Polytheism in the Church, all too prevalent, limits the scope of God's Word, and it restricts salvation to a small segment of reality. In fact, polytheism is often insistent on the irrelevance of certain areas. They are beyond the frontiers of their little God. Salvation by these polytheistic churchmen is limited to the soul and to the church. Politics, economics, education, and other areas have no gospel. They cannot be controlled by their little God, who has no word nor law for those areas. Even worse, these polytheistic churchmen maintain that their limited God and gospel is the true one. As we have seen, polytheism requires the exercise of power as the only, quote, truth, end quote, in all reality. It therefore has no gospel and no law. There can be no governing law of God in a polytheistic cosmos. Like Clark Kerr's multiversity, a multiverse is open to any kind of truth, while at heart destructive of all, since meaning is purely relative. In polytheism, salvation is replaced by imperialism because the gospel has given way to power. The modern world, because it is a relativistic, polytheistic realm, is also the world of power politics and imperialism. Churchmen, of course, carry no guns to win converts. For the gospel, the polytheists in the church substitute salesmanship and social services. Buy the prospects with inducements and bribes. The gospel is replaced with an odyssey of experiences. Moreover, in polytheism, as the relativism grows stronger, the gods become smaller, and disunity greater. F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote on February 26, 1920, shortly before his marriage to Zelda Sire on April 3rd, "Zelda is the only god I have left now." Idolatry is a reductionism. It reduces God to human dimensions by limiting him, so that idolatry is a major step towards open polytheism. In idolatry, the deity is reduced to the level of man's understanding. A rational God is provided, one whom man can understand and deal with. An idol presupposes a polytheistic world. Against a background of cosmic meaninglessness or malignity, a few pockets of meaning exist, and they are set forth in the idols. The idol is a limited God who offers a rational approach as a possible hope against universal conflict. Venus thus offers erotic love as a hope and meaning against the ocean of conflict and death. Polytheism is thus a witness to a defeated world, a faith in the ultimate conflict of interests, and an effort to hold a brief corner of reason and meaning against an advancing universe of chaos and death. For churchmen to adopt polytheism to any degree is to prize defeat. Not the Lord in his salvation,